ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar my dear friends, this is video number 2 of Mundaka Upanishad. This video starts with chapter number 1 of first Mundaka. Om Brahma, the maker of the universe and the preserver of the world, was the first among the Devas. He told his eldest son Atharva about the knowledge of Brahma, the foundation of all knowledge. Brahma, the first manifestation of the unconditioned Brahma in time and space. He is also known as the world soul, the sum total of all souls and minds. Brahma is endowed with unique knowledge, renunciation, powers, and righteousness. First, on account of his uncommon virtues, Brahma is preeminent among the gods, or he is the first among them to be created. Eldest son, at the beginning of a particular cycle, Brahma first created the sage Atharva, foundation, etc. Because all forms of knowledge rest upon the knowledge of Brahma. The objects of all knowledge are known through the knowledge of Brahma. Compare. Have you ever asked for that instruction by which we hear what cannot be heard, by which we perceive what cannot be perceived, by which we know what cannot be known? This is from Chandogya Upanishad. By praising Brahma and the knowledge of Brahma, the Upanishad indirectly extols the knowledge which it intends to impart. The purpose is to awaken the interest of the hearer. The knowledge of Brahma was taught in ancient India through a succession of teachers, from teacher to disciple or from father to son. Verse number 2. The knowledge of Brahma about which Brahma told Atharva, Atharva in olden times told Angir, Angir taught it to Satyavaha, belonging to the clan of Bhardwaja, and the later taught it in succession to Angiras. Angir, Angir, either a son or a disciple of Satyavaha, in succession. Parvaram, the word in the text, may also mean the higher knowledge and the lower knowledge, and be used as an adjective modifying knowledge of Brahma. The knowledge of Brahma was first revealed by the Lord to Brahma, who transmitted it to his eldest son. Therefore, this knowledge is not of human origin and is free from human imperfections. Verse number 3. Sonka, the great householder, approached Angiras in the proper manner and said, Revered sir, what is that by the knowing of which all this becomes known? In the proper manner, that is to say, according to scriptural injunction. A seeker endowed with the requisite spiritual disciplines should approach, fuel in hand, a qualified preceptor. The carrying of fuel denotes the pupil's humility and his desire to serve the teacher in every way. What is that, etc.? Sonka may have heard the saying of some holy man that there was something by the knowing of which all is known. Or he may have been impelled to ask the question by reasoning that as the various articles made of gold can be known through the knowledge of gold, so likewise there should be one cause of the multiple objects of the world by the knowing of which its effects could be known. All these sense perceived objects of the world. According to non-dualistic Vedanta, an effect has no real existence apart from its cause. Therefore, when a man knows the cause, he also should know that the effect has no reality independent of it. Brahma is the ultimate cause of the universe. When one knows Brahma, one also knows that the universe has no reality independent of Brahma. Angiras answered Sonaka. Verse number 4. To him he said, two kinds of knowledge must be known. That is what the knowers of Brahma tell us. They are the higher knowledge and the lower knowledge. Knowers of Brahma, those who have mastered the true significance of the Vedas and realized ultimate truth. Higher, the knowledge of the Supreme Self, which is beyond duality. Lower, the knowledge of righteous actions, dharma, and unrighteous action, adharma, and their results. The lower knowledge is the knowledge of the phenomenal world. In reality, it is ignorance, for it does not lead to the highest good. The seer of the Upanishad asks the aspirant to acquire both the knowledge of the relative world and the knowledge of ultimate reality. When, by the pursuit of the former, he fails to attain true freedom and immortality, he cultivates the latter. The two kinds of knowledge. Verse number 5. Of these two, the lower knowledge is the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, the Atharva Veda, Shiksha, phonetics, Kalpa, rituals, Vyakarna, grammar, Nirukta, etymology, Chandas, meter, and Jyotish, astronomy, and the higher knowledge is that by which the imperishable Brahma is attained. Rig Veda, etc. It may be contended that if the higher knowledge lies outside the Vedas, it cannot really be called by that name, nor can it lead to the attainment of the highest good. Any knowledge that is outside the Vedas is futile and unacceptable. And what about the Upanishads, which claim to contain the higher knowledge? Are they too outside the Vedas? In that case, they lose their authority. Shankaracharya refutes these contentions by saying that the higher knowledge refers to the actual realization of the subject matter taught in the Shruti. It primarily means the experience of the imperishable Brahma taught in the Upanishads and not the mere words contained in them. The Vedas generally and especially in this context signify the mere assemblies of words, Sabdarshi, constituting their text. In order to attain the higher knowledge, a student who has mastered the words of the scriptures must go to a qualified preceptor and cultivate such spiritual disciplines as discrimination and renunciation. Otherwise, he cannot realize the imperishable Brahma. Shiksha, etc. These six, known as the Vedangas, are ancillary to the Vedas. Without knowledge of them, a proper understanding of the Vedas is impossible. Is attained in the case of the higher truth, attainment and knowledge are identical. This attainment is the same as the destruction of ignorance. The knower of Brahma becomes Brahma. The nature of the imperishable reality is described in order to explain the higher knowledge. Verse number 6. By means of the higher knowledge, the wise behold everywhere Brahma, which otherwise cannot be seen or seized, which has no root or attributes, no eyes or ears, no hands or feet, which is eternal and omnipresent, all pervading and extremely subtle, which is imperishable and the source of all beings. The wise, those capable of discriminating between the real and the unreal, behold everywhere as the Atma of all, seen, experienced by the organs of perception, seized by the organs of action. No root, being causeless, Brahma is unrelated to any cause or effect. Attributes such as thickness, shortness, or blackness by means of which an object is specified. Omnipresent, it manifests itself through all beings from the highest God to the blade of grass, all pervading. Like Akasa, it permeates all objects. Extremely subtle, because Brahma transcends even Akasa, which is the most subtle element. Imperishable, undecaying, decay is possible for a material entity by the loss of limbs or parts or attributes. Brahma is without parts or attributes. The wise pursue the higher knowledge to realize Brahma, the imperishable absolute. The first half of the verse describes Brahma by the negation of attributes. The second half indicates Brahma by certain positive epithets. Brahma is the attributeless and unchanging reality in all objects, but is unrelated to them. Some familiar illustrations are given to explain Brahma as the source of all beings. Verse number 7. As the spider sends forth and draws in its thread, as plants grow on the earth, as hair grows on the head and the body of a living man, so does everything in the universe arise from the imperishable. Spider, etc. It produces the thread without the help of any other cause. Further, the thread is not essentially different from the spider's body. Draws in, that is to say, absorbs within itself. The thread, when drawn in, becomes again part and parcel of the spider. Plants, etc., they are not different from the earth. Hair, etc. The hair is different from the man, the one is inert and the other living. These three illustrations stress the spontaneous nature of the creation. Brahma itself, without the help of an extraneous cause, projects the universe out of itself. It is both the material and the efficient cause. The first illustration points out that the universe is projected from Brahma and also ultimately merges in Brahma. The second illustration points out that after the creation, the universe rests in Brahma. According to the third, Brahma, which is pure intelligence, projects out of itself the inert material universe like the growth of hair from a living man. The creation is not the becoming or transformation of Brahma. Brahma, through its own inscrutable power, appears as the universe of name and form without itself undergoing any change whatsoever. This is called Maya. The successive stages in the evolution of the universe are described. Things did not come into existence all at once, as if someone had thrown a handful of plums. Verse number 8. Dharma expands by means of austerity, and from it primal matter is produced. From matter, prana, from prana, mind, from mind the elements, from the elements the worlds, thence works, and from the works their immortal fruits. Expanded, expands, etc. The word tapas in the text means literally austerity. It also denotes intense thinking, which precedes any creative act. Here the word means knowledge regarding the future creation. Brahma or pure intelligence alone exists. It is one and without a second. Under the influence of its own Maya, there arises in Brahma the desire for creation or projection, and forthwith it becomes endowed with omniscience. That is to say, with the knowledge and capacity of creating, preserving, and destroying the universe. Thus, Brahma appears to increase in size like a seed before it splits and the sprout comes out, or like a father dilating with joy before begetting a son. In this stage, Brahma, or the attributeless absolute, becomes known as Saguna Brahma, or Brahma associated with the attributes of omniscience, omnipotence, and so on. The whole creation is the illusory superimposition of name and form on Brahma. Owing to Maya, Maya has no existence independent of Brahma. From it, etc. Prakriti or primal matter in a state of non-differentiation, being a beginningless entity, cannot be said to be created. What is meant is that it becomes ready for manifestation. The word for primal matter in the text is annam, food. All created beings derive enjoyment from material objects, as a man does from food. Brahma, desirous of creation, appears as the undifferentiated Prakriti or matter. From the standpoint of Prakriti, Brahma is the material cause of the universe, whereas from the standpoint of pure intelligence, it is the efficient cause. From matter, known also as Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, the golden egg, Prajapati, the creator, and Sutratma, the Atma, which, like a thread, holds together the whole universe. He is the world soul, the cosmic person in whom becomes manifest the knowledge and power of Brahma with regard to creation. He is the sprout, the first shoot of the creation, and contains in speed. He is the sprout, the first shoot of the creation, and contains in seed from the desires and actions of the created beings yet to be evolved. The personal gods of the different religions represent different aspects of Brahma. In the Puranas, he is described as a special person endowed with a form and dwelling in a special world called Brahmaloka, which may be roughly compared to the heaven of the dualistic religions. Mind, that is to say, the cosmic mind. The individual minds are not yet evolved. Mind is characterized by volition, deliberation, doubt, and determination. Elements, the five elements Akasha, air, fire, water, and earth. When first evolved, they are uncompounded, subtle, and incapable of creating. Then they combine and become gross elements. Each gross element contains one half portion of its subtle counterpart and one eighth of each of the four other subtle elements. Words. The 14 words which constitute the relative universe works performed by living beings according to their caste and order of life. Immortal fruits. Work, karma, creates desire and the desire again impels one to attain action. Thus, in the relative universe, the stream of work never comes to an end, even in a million aeons. The knowledge of Brahma alone puts a stop to desire and work. Like work, its fruit is also without an end, hence it is called immortal. From the relative point of view, creation is without beginning. The human mind cannot think of the beginning of time or space. If a limit is arbitrarily set, one can conceive of time or space beyond that as well. Likewise, there is no such thing as absolute destruction. Vedanta speaks of the manifestation and the non-manifestation of the universe. In the former state, things are seen in their tangible form, and in the latter, they remain as seed. These two states are called the day of Dharma and the night of Dharma. The period of manifestation is called a kalpa or cycle. Whenever the creation of the world is spoken of, what is really meant is the beginning of a cycle. A new cycle begins by the will of Ishvara, Saguna Brahma, and its character is determined by the accumulated actions of the living beings of the previous cycle. Mere matter without the help of consciousness or intelligence cannot precipitate creation. Whether the created beings in a particular cycle will be happy or unhappy, wise or ignorant is determined by the law of karma. In discussing creation or evolution, it should be remembered that according to Vedanta, it is the illusory superimposition upon Brahma of names and forms. That is to say, owing to Maya, pure intelligence or Brahma appears as Brahma without attributes. Then Brahma, which appeared as Brahma with attributes, further appears through Maya as the undifferentiated Prakriti. This process of illusory superimposition is to be applied to all stages of evolution. The topic under discussion is concluded. So I conclude this video here. Next video number 3 will start with verse number 9 of Mundaka 1. First Mundaka. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar.